Welcome to this episode of Wanderlust Solo Women Travel Unscripted. Real women, real stories, real journeys, and no filter. Join Gina, your host, to share the experiences and stories of solo female travelers and advocates from all over the world, with a mission to empower women of all ages, backgrounds, and life stages to embrace solo female travel with confidence and enthusiasm, while being authentic and real, unscripted. Confronting the challenges and apprehensions many women face when considering solo adventures, providing inspiration to break through those barriers. Sharing how life transitions, loss, and trauma can lead to amazing experiences, rediscovery, and life journeys. The good, the bad, and the ugly of authentic and honest travel. So let's throw out the script, get comfy, and jump right into this episode.
Joining me is Marla Diann. She is a lifestyle design mentor, travel journalist, lifestyle content creator, and host of Follow Your Joy podcast, supporting midlife women to create lives filled with more freedom, travel, and creativity. After experiencing burnout 9 years into her own 18-year entrepreneurial journey, Marla followed a long-held dream to live and work in the US and Italy. A powerful coaching experience led her to take her first solo trip to Florence, where she spent a month working, exploring, and completely transforming her life from the inside out. That experience became a turning point. She returned home, reimagined her business and brand, and committed to building a life centered around joy, intuition, and meaningful travel, with Italy now woven into both her life and her work. In 2022, she launched Follow Your Joy podcast, inspired by her belief that joy isn't just a feeling. It's a compass for how we are meant to live. Today, Marla is embracing a new chapter, blending storytelling, travel, and digital media as she helps women reinvent themselves with more alignment, creativity, and adventure. Come join us as we delve into listening to your intuition, following your joy, and transformational travel. Sit back, get comfy, and let's go. Welcome everyone back to Wanderlust Solo Women Travel, the Unscripted podcast. And I just want to welcome a very special guest, Marla, to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Love to be here from the other side of the world.
Yeah, and that's one great thing I love about, these interviews that I'm having. I've got guests from all over the world that share amazing perspectives, and I really can't wait to all the juicy stuff that you're going to give us, because there's so much we're going to talk about, because I was very lucky to be on Marla's podcast, Follow Your Joy, recently. So I'm going to put those details below because it's a must listen. But as I start every episode with our signature pass the parcel question. Now, I never know what these questions are going to be because they're from a previous guest, but they're always perfect. And I just love this one for you. So you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Righty-ho. What is the one thing that you want to accomplish yourself in the next year, big or small? And what, if anything, is stopping you?
Well, very good. I'm going to first say nothing's stopping me.
I knew you were going to say that.
So we can get that out of the equation. All right. It's big, and it's not by any means small, that's for sure. And it really fits beautifully, as you said, it fits beautifully with the whole topic we're going to be talking about and what I do is my impact, on the world. And that is I'm reinventing myself and my business. I should say I'm restructuring my business since last year, and even more so this year. But I'll tell you got to have courage and you've got to have belief when you are in reinvention of any kind. That's for sure. And reinvention is definitely not, it's, as you mentioned, it's not new to me. I mean, it's one of my core passions and expertise. But this time at this age, and I'm 67, it's a very different experience at 67 when you're reinventing versus 40 or even 50. It's just different, right? And that is like I did in 2017, which you're going to hear today, my story, which is my brand story of travel and transformation. But like I did in 2017, after my big travel transformational experience, is that I did the very same thing, but in a little different way. I'm restructuring my business, my empowerment company for midlife women, to focus only on doing what brings me joy, uh, and literally be dedicated to that no matter what. And I'm being kind of ruthless with myself, because being a business coach for 18 years for the creative entrepreneurs, knowing how to, kind of run a business, how to structure it, and I mean, it's all the pieces to it. My gosh. And just really honoring at this time in my life. I'm like, I am just not tolerating anything anymore that is not making me happy. I am no more, right? We earn that by the time we hit our 60s. We're like, yeah, no, that is just not going to happen anymore. I'm not going to do
Totally.
that because it's expected in the industry. So that's the kind of the gist of it. So what I'm doing is focusing less on the business strategy, definitely working with midlife women 40 and over, typically the 50-70 range, that are entrepreneurs, and they are let me back up. It's more about the life design, which I love, love, love coaching and mentoring. It's just sings to my heart. The business stuff, okay, that's fine. And it was a great run, but it's no longer my lead coaching focus. And that is the life design for midlife women entrepreneurs, right? Who are craving freedom, creativity. I should say more freedom, more creativity, travel, joy, right? And reinvention in their lives. And my gosh, is that not the ongoing theme for most women between 40 and 70, 50 and 70, right?
I
Oh my
love all
God.
those words too, like joy, reinvention, oh my God.
Creativity. It's just, and these literally, what's really important to point out, Gina, is those are top values of mine. They're not just words. They're not just, oh, I love creativity and I love joy. No, those are top values. Freedom being number one. Oh, God, freedom. And that is freedom to be, freedom to go where I desire, freedom to make choices that I want rather than what's expected. I mean, just freedom in every sense of the word. But yeah, those are my platform. That's what I based my reinvention on for me and my businesses over 40 years of working and being an entertainment publicist and then moving into coaching 18 years ago. These are my top values: freedom, creativity, joy, reinvention, and throw in their intuition, which we'll talk about. But that's what I'm going for. And so my women, how can I best serve them in the same? Because most women, like you said, they all want that. Who doesn't?
100%. I love all that. And I really am interested because it really delves into what, we've talked about in the past. And there's two sides of this in a way. It's about reinvention and also about trusting your intuition, which I know you're very passionate about. But like you're reinventing yourself now. And it's not the first time you've reinvented yourself, obviously. You're the queen of reinvention. But I think that's really a powerful message that there's not an age limit to stop. You can reinvent yourself at any age. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wanted to add to the answer to that question about what I'm doing. Part of the reinvention, because it's a business, not just my life, is that for the first time, I'm actually doing, well, okay, I've been doing content creation for 18 years. It's what we do as a business today, but in the terms of how it is today. So content creation, affiliate marketing, I've just added, I have my own Amazon store I launched a month ago, and it's growing. I had my first 3 orders like last week. I know I think I made a whole $2 or something in commission, but it keeps going. In other words, I keep getting, with the marketing that I'm doing, I do keep, every day I check and there's more and more clicks and so forth. So it's learning that, and you learn it through Creator University with Amazon. So yeah, having my own store, also the whole ebook thing, and which is the marketing. And I've been wanting to do that for a while, but just wasn't able to fit it in with everything else plus the podcast. And now that's part of this new platform in my business. So it's reinvention, it's life, design coaching, it's affiliate marketing, it's content creation. And I'm finally going to get on YouTube. I have it already. I have YouTube, but I'm really going to turn this into the channel for midlife women and what goes on with them in their lives and all the things I talk about, from the feminine, masculine to intuition and all that. So that's really the package that I'm putting together in the reinvention.
So beautiful. And I know so much goodness. And that's the thing. We're always learning new skills. I know, like
Oh,
my
God.
journey through this, even just doing the podcast like we're constantly learning. And I think that's something really important to remember. You're never too old to not keep learning. It's so important to keep our brains active and our creativity going. And I love that you're doing all this new stuff.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I have to admit, what happened is I started it like last year, but I did a lot of research first. Did a lot of research. Who do I want to follow? Who do I want to be as my, if you will, go-to mentor? Who am I gonna really? Because there's so many options. Excuse me, in affiliate marketing. There's so many options in how to use online as a monetization. So it took me probably about 6 months of watching a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of experts. And I finally landed on this one gal. She's in her 50s and smart as a whip, had a lot of experience in a lot of businesses before she came on to YouTube and doing this, the affiliate marketing and the Amazon and all that. So that happened in October, November. So it wasn't long ago, but I could finally land with her. Felt really good with her as far as relatability. Have taken all of her channels, if you will, of income and gone, okay, I went on my flip chart. But what I started to do was I started to get a little overwhelmed because there were a lot of things to start launching. And we all know you got to do a little bit at a time. And I had to pull myself back. I started like the first month, I think it was in February. And by March, I'm like, okay, I feel like a scatter bunny.
I
No, no,
get
no, no,
that.
no.
Yeah.
Got too much to focus on. And so I went, okay, you know how to do this. Chunk it down, Marla. And so I'm focusing in on a few things along with my ongoing life design coaching. And you got to do it that way. You got to chunk it down and not put so much stress on yourself to go, okay, ebooks, but I got to snap the fourth wall. Oh, that's right. And then I got to do my YouTube and I got to write my scripts and I got to, no, yeah, I don't do stress well at this age.
I had someone explain it to me that you've got to eat an elephant one bite at a time,
You just have to.
which I think is so appropriate, because you do it does become overwhelming, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's terribly overwhelming. And to add to that, I mean, because of our age, and this is a common beautiful thing with all of us women. I mean, because of the change and our brain changes, our hormones are changing. We're either pre or post menopause. I mean, all those things. And I have no longer, I used to tolerate stress really, really well. Not anymore. The only thing I want is calm, peace, balance of some sort, harmony. As soon as it becomes stressful, I shut down.
That's so interesting, and it is true. Like, I think even for me, or something recently that happened, it just activates me so much quicker. And I know that there's all those memes about, we call them Karens, or I don't know what it is in the States, but midlife women going off. But I think your tolerance does come down, and I just don't think we tolerate bullshit a lot anymore either, to be honest. And it's not a bad thing.
No, that's a given. It's like I said, we've earned that, right?
Yeah.
No more, right? But truly, our body is changing. In fact, I highly, highly recommend. I'm not sure if I talked to you about this last week. The book that I love and I tell all my women friends about, Dr. Mindy Pell's. It's called Age Like a Girl. Seriously, Age Like a Girl. In fact, you can find it in my Amazon store.
Yeah.
I'll give you the link. But she is phenomenal about not only changing the narrative about menopause, But really what's going on for women, and it's a beautiful, beautiful framework in which she is educating, I should say re-educating the public on women, because our brains literally change in that time period of the 50 to 70, is that because of menopause, our brains completely change. And so part of that is, yeah, with the hormones, right, disappearing on some level, is we don't tolerate stress well. Our bodies don't have, if you will, the right, I don't want to say the right, what it used to have.
Yeah.
I call it a cushion, right? And that cushion, like when I explain it to people, it's like I used to have this cushion around stress. It feels raw now. I don't have a cushion in front of me. That's like, taking care of me. It just feels raw. And that's the only way I can explain it. So point being is the truth of life at our age, and it's about taking care of ourselves. And that book gives you lots of alternatives to take care of yourself, between exercise and eating right, and so forth and so on, for that woman, right, in our age group.
Definitely give me that link and I'll pop it below for all the listeners, because it
Okay.
sounds really good and relevant.
Oh,
And I want to touch on part of your journey. Well, it's a really big part of your journey, and it's when you came through meltdown and burnout, and then you had a session with one of your mentors, which led to an amazing journey and transformation to Italy and to Florence in particular. Can you elaborate on that story? Because I just loved it.
yes, yes, and yes. And I know, a lot of your women out there will relate with this for sure. It not only has become my brand story, but I also call it pre-Italy, post-Italy Marla. So it's the pre-Marla before Italy, and the post-Marla going forward to today Marla. And there were two different women. Two different women. Yeah, 2017 was March, and I was 9 years into my 18-year-old empowerment company. And at that point, a lot of my friends and associates in the coaching industry, we all kind of had a burnout in different ways, because all we were doing, if you remember, between 2008 and 2017, oh man, it was a gravy train. Number one, there wasn't a lot of people online and doing coaching at the time, mind you. But at the same time, we were doing a lot of what I call the masculine of life and business, not gender, as in structures and strategies and marketing and systems and hustle and all of that can lead you to burnout. It's like, where did the coaching go in that equation? It was all about marketing. It was information marketing. It was just marketing, marketing, marketing. And it was running the business. But well, wait a minute. What about why we got into our business? Because we love humanity. We love changing lives. So for me as a creative, I was born a creative in a creative family, lived a creative life, as I said, in entertainment PR for 20 years before I moved into coaching. So what was happening is, and I call it the feminine of life, which to me is the neck down. It's your entire body. The masculine is the neck up. It's your brain. It's your logic. It's your function. I was living so much in my head, in my brain, and I was neglecting the feminine of life, which was my intuition, my creativity, my heart, right? The fun of life, the adventure of life, all of that. It's like I was just this manufactured version of myself. And I finally just said, I can't do this anymore. There has to be a change. And so I hired my coach at the time, and I ended up doing a bunch of her coaching programs for about 7 years. And she's still in my life. Point is, hired her to help me recover my dreams and make money with joy. That was my going into this one-on-one private inner home session, in depth, 4.5 hours. And what she did is she pulled out of me. And by the way, I chose her because her expertise was, she loves travel. She taught women entrepreneurs the laptop lifestyle. You got Zoom. Get out of here. Go travel the world and do your thing, right? Most of her clients at the time were coaches. I think there were others that were different, but most of them were coaches. So she was my girl, and she was Italian, and she just lived the life. She went to Paris, she went to Morocco, she went to Italy. I mean, you name it. You don't go to the local Hilton for her. You go to Paris and do a 3-day event, right? You're not going to, the whatever hotel down by the airport or, whatever. So I loved her. So she was the perfect mentor. And during that session, she pulled out of me my long time dream and desire, okay, to want to work and live here and in Italy. I was all things Italian. Loved it. Am I Italian in this lifetime? No. Was I in another one? Absolutely. I call myself the American girl with an Italian soul. Yeah. And so she pulled that dream out of me that I had neglected to honor for a good 20 years. I was a single mom. I was raising my son. I was working out of my home back in the early 2000s, running my PR business. I was already, doing the home base thing, but I wasn't honoring that. In fact, I even named my PR business, which was my very first business, and of 13 years, Capri Public Relations, after the Isle of Capri in Italy. So we're talking about this. She says, all right. And I'm giving you a short version. She says, you're going to Florence, Italy for a month. And I went, my eyes like popped out. I go, wow, okay. How do I do that? And I'm very independent. So to me, solo travel was fine. There was no hesitation for me, with the exception of, okay, now let's get smart about this and let's make sure you're safe and let's make sure you do what you need to do. But what we did before I left that day, higher than a kite, was she spelled out everything. All right, let's cost it out. All right, airplane, flights, train, cost of your rent back home, taking care of your dog. I mean, literally every detail. And then we created kind of a life makeover for me, a year life makeover plan that started with me going to Italy. And so I flew home in my car, literally felt like I just got a new lease on life. Somebody was actually honoring that dream with me. And 45 days later, after doing all the planning and coming up with additional income and all of those things, I took off for Rome. I took the train to Florence, Italy, and had the time of my life. This was my Eat, Pray, Love journey in one place. And I did it. I was living and working in Florence. I was staying in a really, really cute Airbnb just outside of the main piazza, in Florence, and walked everywhere. In fact, I never got into a car except for the taxi that took me from the train station, the Santa Maria Novella, to my Airbnb and back. I walked everywhere for a month and I played. It just was a complete overhaul of who I was. And I was meeting people and just going to wineries. I went to Cinque Terre, Italian Riviera, and did food tours in Florence, and it just, my gosh. And in fact, I remember about 2 weeks in of the month, and it was palpable. I was in my Airbnb and I could literally feel the angst, the stress, the armor melt away. And for the first time in years, I felt my heart. I fell back in love with life. I fell back in love with myself. It just was just like the birds came out singing, But wow, was that a journey. I made a promise to myself because I loved the culture and I knew I would. I love the way Italians live their life. It's very quality, very different from here in America. And I wanted to live like an Italian back here in my home, in my life, because I thought, okay, I got to take all this back home and change that too, right? Who I am and how I operate. So I made that commitment to myself. That's, to me, the transformational travel part of this. And my coach and I also made the decision for me to do a photo shoot while I was in Florence. So we booked that before I left, because I would be changing my brand too. And so I had this full day, beautiful photo shoot experience with this wonderful gal who travels the world doing this. And when I got back, not only did I commit to a new identity, a new chapter, a new business, but I lived my life the way Italians do. And I stuck with that. And so anytime that I was starting to, come out of that, if you will, I would ask myself, okay, Marla, if you were in Florence, Italy right now, what would you be doing? How would you be feeling? So that's part of, by the way, the new identity or the refined identity coaching that I do is teaching women like I did how to live that new chapter, that new woman who's in that new chapter now, not when she gets there. So I was embodying the Marla that I wanted to be here back at home and bring that with me. And I'd say it took me about 5 months, got back, and 5 months later, I could tell with my real concerted effort to constantly ask myself, okay, you're in Italy right now. What would you be doing? How would you be feeling? What are you doing? Is that it integrated? I embodied it about 5 months later. So the one big commitment that I made to myself was I would go back because I've loved travel my whole life and I wanted to really explore the country. So I made a commitment now that I finally broke through this whole mindset thing about, yes, you can go now, Marla. You can honor and give yourself permission to honor that dream. And it changed me so much that I want to go back. So I did. I went back. Since then, I've gone now 4 times. So the following year, 2018, I went to Cortona under the Tuscan sun. Francis May's town, who was an inspiration to me. I went to Lake Como, of course, Rome again, and then had to wait till after COVID, 2022, at Amalfi Coast. Incredible experience. Spent 2 weeks there with a very good friend of mine. That one was not a solo trip. And then the last one was 2 years ago, 2024 September, when I put together with a dear friend of mine, he's a chef and a photographer, and we've been friends since 1986. We put together a 9-day Tuscan culinary adventure. And we got 2 beautiful villas in both different areas and put this whole trip together. Brought a couple women with us and had a fantastic time. So
Wow.
that's the story. And I'm constantly working on staying in that commitment to myself, to the Florence Marla, because I'll be honest, one of the, challenges with COVID, I don't know about you, especially being in the travel business, is, oh my gosh, when we had to go into lockdown, I felt my heart fall into my stomach. And I went, I just spent the last 3 years changing my life, giving myself permission to travel and have a business that represents that. And now I can't go anywhere. And I was crying inside going, oh, okay, hang on, Marla, hang on, because it was part of my new identity. And so it took me probably, well, okay, till 2022. I'm like, I'm getting back out there. Let's go to Amalfi Coast. And so I was able to kind of get back to it. But boy, with that 2 years was really torturous.
Yeah. And I love that story. And it's funny. I'm very connected. I've been fortunate to be gone to Italy a couple of times now and spent, I was there for 5 weeks and I think a month or so. And it's definitely got a certain pull. And I've talked to other people that have gone there and had similar experiences. But I think I really loved how you share the Marla before, post, and after, because that's so true. I've had that happen to me. But I think what's really important is what you said about reminding and bringing that back to the now and how you can be that person now, not just when you're there. And I think that's so important because I'm 100% a different person when I'm traveling. I'm very much in the now. And one of your passions, I've very much touched and used my intuition, which we'll talk about a little bit soon. And I think what also you teach, I definitely lean into that feminine side of creativity and joy and learning new things and being spontaneous. But then bringing that back home and being that person at home is the struggle.
It's that, but that's as being a travel coach, is that's the transformational part, that it changes the meaning of travel, right? Is that travel is no longer an escape. It's literally part of your life design because it helps
100%.
you transform, I mean, that's what you and I love so much, why you and I have such a wonderful connection, is that we live by travel is the best answer to a next chapter, to changing your life, to changing you, because it takes you out of your normal environment. It helps you break patterns, the pattern interrupt, all that. You're in new cultures and you interact differently. I mean, we all know about how fantastic, right, travel is. But when you come back from, and this is what you're talking about, is that when you come back from your travels, do not go back to who you were. That's the point. And that's the effort and the consciousness and the intention behind transformational travel. Take that change as if you did a transformational course with somebody. You're not going to come back home after a 5-day course and go, oh, let me go back to who I was. It's the same exact thing. Okay, man, I love who I am now. Thank God for that experience. And so the magic word is you embody. You embody the changes, who you were, what happened in your travels, and make them who you are now in your life at home.
Oh my God, I love that. And that's such a powerful message. And to all our listeners out there, I really encourage you, to lean into that. If you have had a transformational travel experience, to bring up those reminders when you're in moments and, ask yourself how you were, like you just said, when you were traveling, when you were in a certain place and how it made you feel. And I think that's what transformational travel is also a big part of it. It has how it makes you feel, not just where you go or the things you see, but how it makes you feel. And I really love one of your quotes, and I mentioned this to you before. You said, I learned that following your joy is a compass. And I got to say, that's one of my favorite quotes I've heard from any of my guests so far. And do you want to share like how you can lean into, because you're all about intuition and trusting it. Can you share about how you like follow your joy and how you use your intuition to do that?
Yeah, sure. Well, and it's the platform in which I live by, and my business is based on this, and hence my podcast, which Follow Your Joy is the name of my podcast. Between joy and intuition, it's there's nothing better, and you're a great example of it, Gina, is that when we take our passion, right, and we make our impact on the world through our business, right? You are doing your passion, right, with women and all your beautiful retreats. And that's exactly what I'm doing here, which is following your joy. And when I get off of that compass, like I said earlier, okay, yeah, no. I'm only going to do what brings me joy, even if it means for a little while I have to kind of backpedal with income and then build it up again. Because that's God, yeah. All right. I get so passionate about talking about it. So what that means is follow your joy as a compass. It's not just to feel good. It's not just, oh, I want to feel joyful or so forth. It's a very deep meaning. And that is when you follow your joy, which is also your intuition, okay, they're kind of synonymous, right? Is that when it's your intuition telling you follow your joy, is that it's meant for you, right? It's a strategy. It's a life strategy. It's not just to feel good. So use it like, and I think we shared this last week, success leaves clues. Joy leaves clues. Follow your joy and you will end up where you're supposed to be. Who says you're supposed to? And this is the masculine of life. We'll get into the difference between the masculine and feminine. Again, no gender intended here. It's how we are wired as human beings. Every man and woman has masculine and feminine in them. But the masculine of life is just stick through it. No matter how lousy you feel about it, just burst yourself through it, push yourself through it, whatever words you want to use, massive action, whatever has to happen to get to the goal, even at the expense of your joy. Not in my life. In no way will I do that. If it's going to be miserable to get to the goal, what? That to me is like, okay. And there's a difference between goals and desires, and that's the feminine, right? And the masculine together. It's part of the formula in which I teach that came from the burnout, right? Everything I teach is from my own burnout. And that is, well, I call it the creative achievement formula. And when I teach my women in their new identity, refined identity, and new chapter is to use desires plus goals equals transformation and results. Instead of what we've been taught in our society all over the world, I'm sure there's some exceptions, is goals. It's all about goals. Well, goals are masculine. They're measurable, they're linear, they're structured. See where I'm going with that? Where feminine is desires, and desires are of the heart. They're not a goal. And your desire can be whether it's travel. Typically, that's the case. That was it for me, right? As you. That was it for me, as I wanted to finally live and work and travel. For others, it could be other things. It could be a home. It could be, a whole new wardrobe. It could be whatever that desire is. But desires fuel, and this is how you avoid the burnout, is that the desires, when you put that first, so if you look at an equation, desires plus goals is not first, desires are, because they fuel you getting the goals done because you're focused on your desire. In my case, it was Italy. And all the other goals I needed to get done in life and in my business would get done because I am being inspired by what lights me up instead of how many times, and I was brought up the same way. I only focused on goals, which is why I burned out. I wasn't honoring the feminine. I wasn't honoring my desires. I was only focused over here in my head, structure, systems, strategies, marketing, get it done, blah, blah, blah. So there you have it. So follow your joy. There's got a lot of levels to it, and especially intuition. And that's the lead in being in your feminine, ladies, is learning to literally listen and understand the difference between logic and brain and your intuition, two very different things. And your intuition never shows up in your head, ever. It may be translated through your beautiful brain, right? It'll be to make sense of what's going on. Yeah, our brain helps us figure that out. But our intuition is meant for us and us only. So to listen to outside sources and not your own intuition, which comes from the heart, the gut, the body, the vibrations in your body, the energy in your body, right? That's what's going to help you not only follow your joy, but create a life that's meant for you, not somebody else. Yeah, it's beautiful. So I am very passionate. I'm like an advocate for women in that formula of feminine masculine blend. You need to know when it is appropriate. Get in your masculine, get it done. And when you need to be in your feminine, which is the lead, because it's also the intuition. I'm just a huge advocate of it if you can't. Yeah, tell. It's like I up and shouted to the rooftops. Ladies, listen to your intuition, not your logic. Your logic, your beautiful brain, wants to hijack your intuition because it likes control. It likes logic. It wants to make sense of things. It wants you to be practical. It doesn't want you to change. That's just how our brains are wired. It's okay. It doesn't mean you need to follow that.
Marla, I just love how you explain that. I know the first time you explained that to me, your feminine versus your masculine, I thought it was such a beautiful and honest way, and it really related to me. So I hope to our listeners, they feel the same. I'm sure it does resonate, because when you, like you said, we are, what you said earlier on in your business about marketing, and you lose sight of how you wanted to help people. And we were having an off-air conversation with us how we get lost in this marketing machine, but at the end of the day, our projects and our passions are heart-led. And I think that's really, really important, and you can see your passion. And if anyone's seeking, a mentor or a coach or a travel experience, it doesn't matter what it is, when that person or that experience, you can see that they're leading from their heart and their soul, I think that's really important, and that you feel aligned with that. And like it just glows from you.
Well, thank you. But I want to set a modeling, if you will, for that. look, I can't do it unless I've gone through it. I craved back then, right, in 2017. I wanted so much. I had no idea how to be feminine, even though I was, but I didn't know how. I didn't know why I was constantly in the masculine, and I didn't like it. Not only, does it, oh, by the way, it always leads to burnout, ladies. So go ahead and follow the masculine, but just know you're going to head out to burnout many times. And there's a solution to that. But the point is, it just is so life changing, when you realize, okay, wait a minute, that is my brain. Okay, my brain, okay, that's the masculine side of this. The brain is very functional, and obviously we must have it. We have a beautiful brain, but it doesn't belong in the times of transformation. It doesn't belong in the heart matters. It doesn't belong there in the intuition matters, but it wants to. It wants to. And that's where all the mindset stuff comes in, meaning you can reprogram your brain. You can control it. You don't have to just take it. Oh, okay, I'll just have to listen to whatever my brain's telling me and be conscious about the fact that it's doing it. That's what's important, is catch yourself. Oh, and these are the things that I teach my women. It's like, okay, I'm just listening to your belief about XYZ. Do you know that's just your brain talking? It's not your heart and your intuition. And they'll go, okay, all right, well, explain to me how you knew that. Well, let's show you the difference, and I'll take them through the difference. You'll ask your brain and then ask your heart, and you're going to get two very different answers. And it's okay. Just be aware it's your brain trying to call it hijack your intuition. It's like, yeah, no, it's okay. I love you, but not right now, not today. These are the things I say to my brain. Like, I love you, but no, not today. I'm in my free spirit today. Sorry.
And I'm sure everyone's had a moment like that out there. And also you sort of touched on it there about giving yourself permission to do these things. That's the other thing. We have so much pressure and guilt on us, and leaning into that feminine. I suppose maybe some people feel that there is guilt about allowing, example, like you going away like you did. But I'd like to highlight, and I did this too, there was planning behind it. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to go home, hop in my car and get on a plane. There's organization and planning.
Correct.
But it's still giving yourself permission to do that thing like you did that trip. And I think that's really important.
It's so amazing. And I love talking about it here with this audience, because your focus is about solo travel, whether they go alone or go in one of your groups, right? Doesn't matter. Solo with a group is you traveling alone without anyone else with that group. That's amazing. Or again, solo like I did, just by myself, which is like the best self-development course on the planet. But it's giving yourself permission to just evolve, because that's what travel does for you.
Yeah. And that is also a sort of a full circle moment to say evolve, because that's where you're reinventing. It never stops. And, we could talk about, we literally have talked about it for hours, and I could keep going. But I just love, one of the words you also used when we were talking previously is, the overall feeling. We were trying to discuss that feeling that you get, that this transformational travel experiences give us. And your word was freedom. And I really loved that. And I think it really does encompass, and it's not just freedom like physically, I think it's freedom emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, we're both advocates for women, right? We're both advocates for women in being free to choose and honor their dignity. I mean, that's part of also my purpose and my brand. It's stand for your worth and your dignity, right? It's giving yourself permission to feel, to experience, to change, to evolve, and get away from old beliefs that aren't serving you. Yeah.
And on that note, and I think that's a really good quote to carry away for all our listeners. And I really encourage everybody to reach out to Marla. Like I said, I'm going to put all her contact details down below for everybody. So please reach out to her if you feel like you're aligned with her message, which I'm sure you do, because I just love that passion. I just want to thank you for being a guest, and it's been so good connecting with you.
Thank you so much. I love it. Yeah, good talk to you all day long.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're so passionate, when we're both so passionate about empowering women and using travel as that tool also. But thank you again. And remember, everybody, to tune into the next episode. And it's never too late to unleash your wanderlust. I just want to add a beautiful offer that Marla is giving to all our listeners. It's a guide called Prioritizing Desires, a detailed guide for women midlife who are ready to design a new chapter and follow their joy. So I'm going to put those details so how you can opt in for that awesome free gift there.
Thanks for listening. Please share the love by liking, commenting, or subscribing, or join us in our Facebook community.